How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You've been through the process before, a number of times. I'm telling everyone, like before, I'm going to call only those individuals shortly around 5 p.m. this evening, or thereafter, who makes a short list. I'm requesting everyone come up here and give me very quietly their cell phone number, so it's off the camera. So could I get your cell phone number?
Okay.
If you would like to give maybe brief opening statement or remarks, maybe something that's happened since last time you were before us outside your application, that would be appreciated.
Well, everything is the same with the exception of receiving a couple of new placements. As you know, I foster children. So the last time I was here, I had fostered 15 to date. And since then, I've received 2 additional children. One has since gone on to another home, but I still have 1 placement. Of course, that's outside of the legal arena, but familial-wise, that's what's different.
Okay, thank you. Andy, we'll start with you.
I'm a tremendous fan of you, and we've had so many questions asked of you. I've never asked you this one. Being the only person in your immediate family that's never gone to college or law school, I'd imagine that your driving force in your life and your strongest personal characteristics, and running marathons, having foster children, etc., is just tell you no, it can't be done, and you're focused and determined to do it. So give me just a brief description for the committee of your drive growing up in that atmosphere and wanting to be a lawyer and all that stuff, if you would.
Sure. It all started for me in high school. You have to take certain electives when you go to high school, and when I took a government class, that's when the light bulb turned on. At the time, I had focused my attention on wanting to be a paralegal. And there's nothing wrong with being a paralegal, but the important to your question is that I wanted to be a paralegal because I didn't think I was smart enough to be a lawyer. And that was just what my belief was. And my parents had come from Puerto Rico as children, did not speak the English language when they came to the mainland United States. And my mother had worked in a factory, my father was a bus driver, so it was just one of those blue-collar upbringings that I had. They worked very, very hard, struggled financially my entire childhood. But we always had nice things. We never complained, we still went on trips, and it was just one of those things that you grew up saying, you want something, you work hard for it. Once I started going to the community college, I had a professor pull me to the side and say, you keep on saying you want to be a paralegal, why don't you go to law school? And I had responded to him, I'm not smart enough to go to law school. And he said that I was insane and that I needed to hurry up, get my bachelor's degree, because I was going to regret it later in life had I not done it at that time, being single, childless, young. And so I did. And so I got my bachelor's degree. Somewhere in the interim, I moved down to Florida. I started working for Hernan Castro and doing child support enforcement, which he still does today. And then he pulled me to the side and said, why are you working for me? You need to go to law school. And he literally specifically instructed me to quit his office and go to law school. And he encouraged me to go to law school. And so it was, once people came into my life and started encouraging me, then I started believing it myself. And so that's where that started.
Andrew.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was not assigned to do your day, but when I spoke with the people who I was assigned to in their references, I asked them about the other applicants, and your name consistently rose at the top. And one of the people that I spoke with was Judge Davidson. And Judge Davidson was telling me about how she was impressed with the recent criminal trial you did. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, that was an attempted murder trial where there was a shooting from the inside of a vehicle at a park filled with children. My client was essentially a child himself. He was arrested as a juvenile, ultimately charged as an adult. And he was consistent and insistent that he was not the shooter, even though they were people at the park and within the vehicle, occupants of the vehicle that said he was the person that was inside the vehicle and who had shot the 14-year-old child who almost got killed. The person who almost got killed was shot 9 times, had identified him as the shooter. And it took 2.5 years, but he was fully acquitted.
Thank you. David?
Morning.
Morning.
Everybody has such great things to say about you, that whether we're asking about you or not. And it's obvious that you have just a huge heart and you care about things and people, and you just have great characteristics in that regard. I'd be interested to hear from you, since you care about the community so much, how it is you think you can better the community in your role as a circuit judge than you do now.
It's, for me, it's not whether I can better the community as a judge compared to now. For me, it would just be in addition to now. I don't plan, if I were to benefit in taking the seat, it would simply be what I would say in addition to what I'm already doing. For me in particular, when I have a client who is a criminal client and I see potential in that person, I don't care if they have 1 criminal conviction or if they're a first timer or if they are a career criminal, what society deems as a career criminal and the legislature has deemed as career criminal. If I see a single solitary light in that person, that I say, this person has potential, and either no one has told him or her he has potential, or he doesn't realize he has potential, the same as what happened to me with someone saying, you have it, you just have to seek it and go after it, I will tell that person. And I have told that people like that before, and I've had grown men, career criminals, just break down crying saying, no one has ever said that to me before. So I don't think that necessarily has to change just because I'm on the bench. You can still, I believe, have that influence and not necessarily say, okay, this judge is defense-oriented or prosecutor-oriented. You can still encourage a person on the bench by simply saying one thing, because you don't necessarily know if anyone has said that. Even one sentence can be life-changing for a person.
Donna?
It's nice to see you. Good morning. Are you planning, if you're not to be appointed or elevate you at this time, would you run for the seat for 2020?
I have been discussing that with my husband. I think that I do believe that I am finally in a place in our lives where my children are old enough that I can focus that attention. So yes, I am planning that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we should be considering you for nomination for the bench or appointment to some state agency. Start doing children and family affairs, I'm not sure. But I have no question.
Thank you.
Jeff?
You are a terrific person and a terrific lawyer, and I really enjoyed hearing from you. And I was really, that was my question was, you know, this position, if you're sent up and appointed, you've got to run. And I think you've answered that question, that you're all in, even with all the other wonderful things that you do, you're all in for running a campaign, if you're opposed.
Yes, yes, I am. Yeah, it was very difficult when my children were smaller, but I am at a time in my life where the children are, you know, not necessarily self-sufficient, but self-sufficient enough that I can focus my attention to where it needs to be in order to be able to do that and still have a household that functions.
Jeff?
Yes. What time will you start court?
I would start at 8:30.
Bill?
I'm sort of curious if you could appoint, and when it comes time for sentencing,
Right, and I do understand that question, and it is a fair question. In response to that, I would say you can instill encouragement in somebody and not necessarily let them off the hook. Same as my children. I'm not in any way saying that I would influence, or that I would let that influence necessarily a sentence. What my focus is on in the words that you use when you're speaking to a person, whether or not they're encouraging or discouraging. There are many, many times where I give an encouraging speech and say, but you're facing X amount of years and your score sheet is a minimum sentence of X amount of years, and that's just the way it is. There's nothing I can do about that. That's what the law provides, and still go on to give that encouraging speech. And I still have had multiple defendants thank me for just the speech in and of itself, not necessarily letting it influence what I do or how I handle the case. So I'm not saying that I would let somebody off the hook just because, you know, I see something in them where they could change their life. They still have to pay the consequences for what they've done.
Could you imagine a day if there was the same speech you would give to your kids, that there was a score sheet for penalties for their behavior, you could sit them down and say that same thing you just said to your children? It'd be an interesting thing.
My children are very upset that I'm an attorney, I'm sure.
You know, I looked on page 15 of your application. You say that you've been on the short list 3 times, which in my mind, I know you're trying to highlight that to us, and I appreciate that, but that's a mixed blessing to me.
Agreed.
Because 3 times we have put your name on a short list, and 3 times you have not done or been able to do what is necessary to get appointed. So what makes this 4th time different? What are you going to do differently in order to
That's a good question.
get across the finish line, so to speak? Because from my perspective, and I can only speak for myself, I always want to put only those names on a list of people that are extraordinarily qualified and are appointable. So what are you going to do different?
I wouldn't say different, but I would continue to make the connections that I need to make in order to get people to support me in convincing the staff that I am appointable and that I would be the appropriate person, not only in my knowledge and skills, but in compassion, diversity, and everything that should be in a person that is on the bench.
And one final question, then I'll defer to my colleagues if they have any follow-up questions. If you are not appointed by Governor DeSantis, of the other 10 applicants, who do you believe is the most qualified?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. Who do I believe is the most qualified?
If it's not you,
I would. I'm torn between 2 people, and I would say General Magistrate Ballou, I'm hoping I'm saying that correct, and Steve Henderson.
any follow-up question?
I have one to follow up. Hopefully it's a pro one. But has anyone from the governor's legal staff said there's anything that disqualifies you in their mind from appointment?
I don't believe so, no.
Any follow-up?
And we got way more references and letters from any other candidate. You were like the #1 for how many we got. If you had to pick one person who wrote a letter, who would that be that you would think is most important?
Well, I know that there are people who may have submitted references that I don't, not everybody necessarily tells you. So I'm not sure how to answer that question. Because I don't know, I don't know who exactly wrote in.
All right, fair enough.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.